Hey guys, how you doing? Um, so my first vlog back since I got back to Australia, back a few days, um, and originally this was sort of going to be like a reflection of the journey back and sort of how I'm feeling settling back in, and to credit, I will put a little bit in there. I'll do that right now, I suppose. Yeah, it's kind of interesting. Like a lot of people talk about, the whole end of an Iron Man thing. You sort of feel a bit lost and all the rest of it, and they're kind of right. Like it is. Like it was great that I had those few days with April afterwards. But now back in Australia, it's kind of like I don't have an 8 hours to go riding on a bike on the weekend. I've only got to, I don't have to do anything. Don't have, my next official sort of like competition race is not for like another like 10 months. So, it's a little bit different. And now I can actually sort of, I went for a ride and it was just for fun. Like, I just rode to Wellington Point and back and, just a easy 30k roll and it was just like nothing. And it was good because I could actually enjoy it and that was kind of cool. Um, I'd gone for just an easy run, just an easy jog. A lot of swimming at the moment. Little bit sore at the moment. Yes, hello. Yes, hello, darling. Hello. Yes, okay. Yes, okay. Yes, I love you too. Okay. Do you want to come up on Papa's lap? Is that what you want, or you're confused too? Okay, he's confused as well. Um, So it's been kind of cool, kind of interesting, as I said, just sort of like relaxing a little bit and just enjoy a bit of time. A lot of time because I'm back at work, of course, and that's very, very busy and catching up from 2 weeks off and stuff like that. But anyway, but look, the thing is that what's actually making me vlog tonight, is something that really, really upsets me, and it really kind of got me. So, um, there was an incident where a woman was distracted while driving. A person was distracted while driving in Florida, and they hit a group of cyclists. Not one cyclist or two cyclists. They smacked into a group of about 10 or 12 cyclists. Like, it's a large body of people, and yet you were distracted and you plowed into them and killing two. One died at the scene and another died a short time later in hospital and injured many other cyclists. There's a video on kicking around of bits of bicycle scattered all over this road. And it's a multi-lane road. It's just a road where you go cycling, where just like a road that I go cycling on very regularly. Um, and the worst tragic part of this video is that you can see the moment where they're trying to give one of these cyclists CPR and they stop because they can't bring her back. That's it. She's done. Um, and that was gut wrenching. And the worst part is that this driver, who claims that they were distracted, but not distracted by their mobile phone. They were distracted by something in their vehicle, but not their mobile phone. Regardless of what they were distracted by, the fact is they're going to get away with this with not even a fine, from what the media is saying. And it's not just one media source, multiple media sources. I'm talking to people who live in Florida. There are no laws that basically it's oh dear, that's naughty, you shouldn't have done that. That's okay that you've just killed two people, wounded 10 more, and put others in hospital, put them in hospital, and destroyed people's lives forever. That's okay. Yeah, you can go about your business. What the actual fuck? Like, seriously, what the hell? Pretty sure that should be vehicular homicide, or at least vehicular manslaughter. Because that's ridiculous. And yet, apparently, that's startlingly normal in America. And the sad reality is that from my own experience, it's startlingly normal everywhere, because it's too hard. When it comes to a cyclist, they're just too hard. And look, I'm not going to say that all cyclists are angels. Hell no. Absolutely not. And I will be the first to admit that I've probably bent or broken a couple of traffic laws in my time as a cyclist. Absolutely. So I'm no saint, but at the same time, we're human beings. And this is a point that I made when I got hit by the car, and a post that I shared. I don't know if many of you may or may not have seen it. But when you're in a car, you're behind the wheel of several tons of a lethal weapon. You're behind several tons of vehicle. You have in a car, in a car, a truck, SUV, whatever the hell you want to call it, you have anti-lock brakes. You've got airbags. You've got a restraint system, i.e. your seatbelt. You're in simply several tons of vehicle. Like, you've got a lot of protection there. As a cyclist, you don't have anti-lock brakes. You don't have an airbag. You don't have a supplementary restraint system. You don't have a belt. All you've got is you and a couple of millimeters of lycra. That's it. So, cyclist is always going to lose in cyclist versus car. It's just how much you're going to lose. Now, I was very, very lucky in the fact that I got away with my life and myself. I got some injuries, but I was lucky that I got away with no broken bones, and I got away with still breathing. These riders didn't, and it happens daily, and it's scary. What made me even sadder was the responses of some people. It's like, they shouldn't have been out riding. They shouldn't have been using the road. I'm like, here's the cool story, guys, is that cyclists are road users as well. And especially in Europe and Australia, we actually have a right to use the road, whereas I'm not sure what it is in the US. Whereas in Australia and Europe and the United Kingdom, and a lot of other countries, is that cyclists have a right to use the road. To drive on a road, you have to be licensed, you have to be registered. It's a privilege, and that's something that seems to have gotten lost. Is that being able to use a car, to drive a truck, an SUV, whatever you want to call them, that's a privilege. And every time you get behind the wheel, you are getting behind the wheel of a lethal weapon. Because if you don't pay attention, if you don't treat your car with respect, whether it's, you run the very real possibility of injuring yourself or others. We talk about, there was a campaign, I remember, in Australia many years ago about dangerous speed and drink driving. And it, not as effective as it could have been, but it reduced the road toll, because it was basically going, if you drink and drive, you're a bloody idiot. That was the campaign, and that kind of worked, because it's very true. And people had a respect then. They slowly respected the fact that if alcohol and driving is not a good combination to have. So pay attention to what you're doing and your surroundings and stuff like that, and that's it. But what are we doing about cyclists? And the reality is, in my very real, very recent personal experience, the fact is that law enforcement doesn't care. Cyclists are an annoyance. To a lot of people, they're an annoyance, because people don't seem to see the fact that there's a human being there. They see this lycra-clad annoyance that's slowing them down, or that's taking up this valuable road space that you as a car driver seem to have a complete dominance of. It's like, well, actually no. Like, we get to share the road, kids. Like, we share the road. We share the world. We are another human being. So just think about that. Think about the fact that person in lycra that's annoying you because they're using the road the same as you are as a car. realize that they've got a mother, a father, a brother, a sister, a son, a daughter, a husband, a wife, that they're out there sharing the world with you, and that yes, you might have to take it might be an extra 60 seconds before you get to your destination in the car, but if you try and shortcut that 60 seconds, or if you don't pay attention to your surroundings and look up and suddenly find yourself smack bang in the middle of a group of 20 cyclists and ploughing through them in your SUV, then ask yourself, what kind of person are you? What kind of driver are you that you got distracted by something? You know, the latest one is apparently, as I said, he's distracted by something in the car combined with sun in the eyes. If you've got sun in your eyes and you can't see the road to drive, then you shouldn't be driving. You should pull over and stop and wait till the road visibility is such that you can see the road again and use the road. So that is not an excuse for ploughing and killing people. If that person had hit another car, this wouldn't have been a story, it wouldn't have been a news. It would have been, yes, you've hit another car, so you're responsible, the responsibility would have been worked out. But because as a cyclist, everybody seems to assume, and sadly, including law enforcement, that the cyclist must be somehow at fault. Because why are they there on the road? In my very real recent incident, I was following the road rules, and following the road rules I had right of way. Because I was going straight through an intersection on a green light, and yet a vehicle came up beside me, and his desire to get where he was going a few seconds faster trumped my life almost. He turned in front of me, cut me off, and I almost died. And the police response, the cops turned up, and then this guy had left the scene of the accident. And the police were like, no, we're going to get him. We've got the statements. We're going to get everything. We investigate. We're at very least going to get him for leaving the scene of an accident, which is illegal in Australia. I'm not sure what it is anywhere else in the world, but in Australia it's illegal. 4 months later, they'd done nothing. They had his address, his registration, photo of him, photo of his license, and they didn't do anything. It took me writing to the police minister and the Premier of my state and my local Member of Parliament before anybody actually bothered to investigate it. And do you know what the investigation resulted in? Was that when they did finally speak to him 5 months after the incident, it was, oh, well, we can't prove anything because we can't prove if any of the impact damage, any of the marks on his vehicle were caused by impacting me or not. And because I, as the cyclist that was hit, because I didn't have bike cam or dash cam footage or body cam footage of the incident happening, there was no way to prove it. So it was, and he claims that he didn't know that emergency services had been called, despite the fact that I'd been lying on the ground covered in blood, and he was told an ambulance has been called. And I specifically said, and police are on their way, you should not be leaving the scene of an accident, despite screaming the fact that I was screaming in pain. Yet apparently, because he claimed to whoever the interviewing officer was that, oh, I thought that nobody had been called, I thought he'd be fine, even though I was covered in blood and screaming on the ground. That's okay. That meant it's okay for him to leave the scene of an accident. So because of that, he's not even going to get a slap on the wrist. Nothing. So there's a lot of attitudes that we need to change. We need to change attitudes. Now I'm frustrated and annoyed. And as I said, in the last few months, in the last few days, we've seen this, a pack of cyclists was hit by a distracted driver. Right before I left for Mexico, a very prominent bike safety advocate here in Australia, in Queensland, was killed when they were hit by a driver. Whether it was distracted or not, I don't know, but they were hit and killed out on their morning ride by a driver. They were just gone, hit and run, gone. Life ended like that. Another incident the same day as that was a driver in America went on a rampage trying to run down cyclists, and eventually they did. They ran down an older cyclist. For no reason, they went hunting for cyclists to run them over. Like, what the hell? So there's a lot of attitudes that we need to look at and we need to change. And look, I'm not saying the cyclists are angels by any stretch of the imagination. We've got our fair share of things that we need to learn as well. And we need to make sure that we're following the rules. Absolutely, I'm not denying that. But just think, and if you've got friends that, have them look at what happens to a human body when it gets hit by a car. And it just frustrates me that the only way that people seem to think about this and attitudes seem to change is when somebody loses their life. And this is be somebody close to them. And it terrifies me. Because as I said, I've had my very close brush with death on a bike. And I'm still riding, but I know a lot of riders who don't ride on the road anymore for this exact reason. So, anyway, bit of a crap sort of thing to think about, but yeah, there you go. But yes, hopefully there'll be a more brighter, happier note when I do the next vlog. But otherwise, thanks for tuning in, guys. Think about that message, and I'm probably, if you're watching this, you probably already respect cyclists, but have them think about it. If I'm sure we all know someone who doesn't. Have a conversation with them. Have that conversation, because understanding is a key point. Having a conversation, having a discussion is something that needs to be done, but not just about this, about many other issues, but have that conversation. Anyway, thanks for tuning in, guys. Catch you in the next episode. Bye.